Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. My name is Denise Mika Hutchins and I'm broadcasting to you from Studio Mikarts. We are going to continue this illustration that I've been working on for the past couple weeks. Well, working on it live for the past couple weeks. I've been working on it from the beginning for quite a long time. But this is the fourth stream working on this live, and it's actually really nice. This is the second week doing this, doing illustrations on Twitch for these kind of illustrations. Goodness, it's so nice to just be able to leave this. I just leave it out and come back the next day. It's really, really nice, actually. I try not to leave stuff out in general, because then it makes it hard to start on the next thing because I don't have room and I don't feel like cleaning up and find some excuse not to do it. But this is different because I'm not going to work on anything else in between these two streams. So this is super nice, but real quick, I wanted to show something I was working on for the last, well, not the last hour, but within the last hour and a half, I started making coloring pages to sell on my Patreon page. It's a new feature that Patreon introduced. You can sell digital items. In case there's anyone who doesn't want to do a subscription but they'd like to support you, you can now give them the option, if you have something digital to sell, to support you with an individual, like a single one-time purchase. So I started making my onomatopoeia animal illustrations into coloring pages, and they're formatted specifically. The lines are changed a little bit. I moved this side over a little bit so that it will fit nicely on 8.5 by 11 sheet, so that that's the standard size in America anyway, so that it's easy to print from pretty much any printer. So I'm just so excited. I worked on that for about an hour and got the first one up, and I did this as a test print. And it worked perfectly, so I'm really happy. There's another way that people might want to support me, and perhaps I can grow my income streams as well. So yeah, I'm very excited about that, because at first I was like, oh, I don't really do digital stuff. And then I was like, wait, I always thought about doing coloring pages. This is a perfect opportunity. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to reserve this for any blotting that I might want to do. So I'm going to put it on this side because I use this hand to blot. And I still have this one that I've used for other projects, and this will be my regular swipe the brush towel. Okay, so this is, be straight. It's bothering me. This was slightly sideways, and I can see the difference, the gap in the line between the page. I know it's such a small thing, but that kind of thing is so distracting to me. Little details. Okay, so let's resume painting. Where we left off yesterday was these leaves. I was mixing different colors. So here's this brown I mixed right here, and I put this brown down. I actually think I will want to put some more red on this one because, oops, I've got some water on there. It's ended up very close to this brown for the Gryphons, and although it makes sense that they would blend into their environment, for the sake of the illustration I don't want it to be too close, so I'll probably add a little bit more red. Maybe not covering the whole thing, but perhaps like the tips of the leaf are a little more red or something. But I'm going to revive this brown. And I'm going to add a little bit more red so that it's not quite that brown. So let's add the more purpley red. I have two reds. One is more purpley and one is more orangey. So there. This will be our leaf color now. Sorry you can't see. So a lot of the time my camera is so high up that it's like my drawing is tiny and you can't really see anything. But now, even though I have all this space, you can't like see everything I'm working with. Even though it's a larger piece. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing as yesterday, working from this side over to this side because I'm left-handed, and just picking different leaves to do this color, and then I'll make a new color and do some more leaves in that one. Just going to start with this little bottom leaf here. I put away my larger brush, but I'm kind of thinking maybe I want it just for color mixing because it's easier to grab a bunch of color using a large brush than this little tiny brush. But I do like this tiny one for applying the color. So it's really nice. There's only a few little spaces where I'm like, I wish that it was a little tinier, but I'm still able to work with it all right. And it's below this branch as well. Yeah, based on yesterday's progress, I think we should be able to get all the base color put down at the very least today. And there's a good chance we can start on some shading. So with watercolor, unless you apply gouache on the top, which I might, but just white gouache, I just have the white gouache. Gouache is opaque watercolor. Unless it's acrylic gouache, then it's acrylic paint that is opaque and what's the term? The opposite of glossy finish. Matte finish. That's so if you have acrylic gouache, it's a slightly different product, but it's like it has the same finish, but since it's not watercolor, it doesn't necessarily behave the same once it's dry. And it's definitely not easier to clean up. You can't re-wet it for use later if it's on your palette kind of thing, which I learned the hard way. I didn't realize I was using acrylic gouache because it came in like an art snacks box or something. I was like, gouache, sweet, and I put it on my palette and I let it dry, and then it was just stuck there. Because once acrylic paint dries, it's just, you can scrape it off sometimes, but other times it's stuck on your palette for the rest of your life. So I learned not to just believe the gouache term. I've got to look at the materials. So anyway, with watercolor, regular translucent watercolor, you start with the highlights and then you work away from them. So it's actually a lot like markers. I did watercolor first, so in my mind, markers is like watercolor. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point is, unlike with my digital pieces, where I put base color, then I put shadows, a couple layers of shadows, and then I put layers of highlight color on top. Not white, but lighter colors of highlight. So that's more like oil painting, or acrylic painting, actually, which neither of them I enjoy, but I enjoy digital work. It's not like that with this. For this, you start light and go dark. For digital work, for me, I start medium, then go dark, and then go light. All right, let's make this big leaf right here, this color. Some of the lines are starting to get a bit lost under all this color, but worst case scenario, I can get my sketch out. It's currently stored for safety, like safekeeping, I guess, for safety. Safekeeping in my box that I use for storing all of my physical projects. So I can just get that out of the closet if I really need it to check on what the lines are supposed to be. But I'm not at that point, so I probably won't need to do that. I haven't needed to do that yet for any of these pieces. So I've already done 2 of this series. But especially right here, it's just like, whoa, the lines are disappearing. I think I will get out, if not the same large brush, maybe a slightly smaller than yesterday large brush, but larger than this, because it is, the color I mixed is already almost gone. Because there's just not, you can't pick that much up with such a tiny brush like this one. I just hope it lasts so that I can finish this leaf with all the same color. Oh, Wolf, hello! How are you? Yes, indeed. I'm doing a watercolor. Yay, thank you for joining me. How are you? It's great to see you. I mean, see you typing in the chat. That watercolors are one of my faves. So fun. Chappie's already snoring over there. We've only been streaming for 11 minutes and she's already snoring. Oh, good. Ooh, is it crazy over there too? Well, I mean, I saw your video with all the snow with your puppy dog. Our puppy dogs here love the snow too. Yeah, I always miss you. It's so great when you can make it. Oh, you got caught up on YouTube. Yay! I'm so glad that my streams get watched on there. It's just a little repository. In the past, I've had people be like, 2 hours? I'm not watching this. Well, sorry, it's just a recording. I don't have time to also edit, because some people take their streams and they edit into like a little 5-minute quick, this is what happened with their art stream or something. I tried doing that. I'm sorry, it's not worth the time. It's not worth the time to do. I'd rather spend that time making more of like something like this. Okay, so I am going to get up for a second and I've got to move this cart. Get a larger brush just to do the job of mixing paint. Ooh, this one is great. I love this one. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's fine. You can always set it for how high does it go? Like 5 times? Just set it to 5 times fast or whatever. And then that's nice. So if someone wants to just speed through it, they can just choose the settings in the player on YouTube. Or if someone wants to actually watch the whole thing, then they could just watch the whole thing. It saves me time editing videos and gives the viewer the choice. So I think it works out. Works out for everyone. Especially now that I'm working on big pieces. It's more of like a series. Watching the illustration streams will be more like watching episodes in a series. Oh, nice. Yeah, I think that would work too. A lot of people seem to watch live while doing other stuff too, so I'm happy to be everyone's companion while they work on various things. Let's see. So I don't think I want to use such a pink. Oh, you can't really see it though. This color looks so pink. I don't want that super pink of a color. So let's add a lot more of this red orange. And I won't add any brown this time because the brown is very... There's lots of brown in the three colors that I've used so far for the leaves. I actually wish I had another red that was in between these two, because since red is a primary color, I can't mix a red. It just has to be red to start with. Ooh, you can see how, this is one of my favorite things, just a little bonus. Whenever I rinse the brush, it makes these cool little patches of color in the water and little swirls and stuff. You can actually see that because my bowl is so far into the screen today. Ah, here we go. This is a nice color, I think, for the next batch of leaves. Okay. Yeah, I love this brush for mixing colors because it just soaks up the color. It has a huge carrying capacity. Which also means it takes a little longer to rinse it out. Okay. That's good. One of the reasons I like to have a fairly clean bowl of water to work with, and so I might change it sometimes in the middle of working, is because I can see the pigment coming out of the brush as I rinse it. And then that helps me know if it's rinsed enough that when I use it again, I won't have too much carryover color especially if I'm, say I put blue, I want to make sure to rinse it all out really well, because if I choose yellow next, and I don't want green, then having blue still left in there will be a problem when I try to get the yellow. Okay. More leaves. I want this. This is the brightest, most vibrant color I've mixed so far for the leaves. I want this this is my, what is the word? Oh, I'll just say this is my favorite leaf. This top middle leaf, I think, came out so pretty. So I've been saving it for a color that I was like closest to my favorite red to paint it with. Oh, this one. I gotta get a little bit of less moisture in the brush in order to get it into the tip of the leaf right there. There. I wonder, so I always see the shorts thing on Twitch. Or is that on, is that on Twitch or YouTube? Or maybe it's on both of them. But I wonder if it automatically does it. Or if I can just have it do it. So that would be nice. If there's some way to just be like, okay, use AI or whatever and make one for me, then that would be good. YouTube Shorts. Yeah. Okay. I'll look into that. Because I do want to, I'm trying to grow Studio Mikarts, so. But I also just like, my schedule is so tight. There's literally no room for anything else. So if it's a button I can click, then I'll do it. Hopefully, once I finish my book, that'll be a nice way because I'll have something like really big for people to find me through. Oh, yeah. That's true. Just post it everywhere. So you can so, wait. Do you make it on YouTube and then you can like download it and put it everywhere else? Or is it just like you share it on the other platforms through YouTube? yes, this is my perfect leaf color. This beautiful red. Beautiful, beautiful red leaf. So I'm actually using the brush itself to pull a little bit of color away right here because I went out of the lines and then make it pointier there. There. Ah, looks good. Yeah, if you can do that, then that would be good. I'll look at it too when I'm uploading today, because I do always see. I knew I'd seen that somewhere. When you said shorts or whatever, I was like, oh, that's familiar. I've seen that. This one is a little bit tricky because it's behind all these other... It's behind all the griffins and also these branches. So I've got to be even more precise with applying the paint on this leaf. Yeah, the shorts thing is like, I can just easily make one from each stream. Then I feel like that could be fun too. To just be like, here's the highlight from today, kind of thing, you know? Be careful right here because it's actually a few little wing tips of the feathers making up this griffin's wing here, hanging down. Gotta make sure not to get any paint on there. Although I think that this part of the wing would be black, so it might be okay. Might get covered up anyway. This is one of those times where I can't really blink. I have to keep my eyes open. Or I have to strategically blink. Because it's so small of an area that it really makes a difference for that split second looking or not looking. Okay, here's a little confusing because there's another leaf on top. So I'm going to do my best to discern which area is which leaf and which is negative space, background space. Well, sometimes I get more paint than the little section can hold, so then I just wipe it on that towel right there. Get the excess off so that it's not like bubbling. Like it'll bubble up, you know, because air pressure is holding the water in place, and it can only hold so much. And if you put too much on, then it will spill over where you don't necessarily want it. Okay, and there's just one little teeny tiny section right here. There. Chappie is snoring so much. I don't know how much is being caught on the mic, but let's see, where else can I put this lovely color? Oh, this little teeny tiny leaf. I'm just considering which leaves I want to do. Maybe this one too. So it'll be the leaves that are next to each other. I'm purposefully trying to do two different colors so that they'll just stand out from each other. Which is not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to do that, but I want to, so. I took the time to draw each of these leaves. So I would like them to, in a subtle way, be able to stand out, at least from one another. Oh, I got a little bit on the Gryphon's tail. Now with these tiny leaves, it really don't need very much paint. And a teeny tiny little triangle tip of this leaf. There. Maybe I'll do this one that's just barely in the frame. And then it will sort of mirror this leaf at the top. It's nice at the bottom here, if there's a little bit too much paint, I can just paint it downwards and I don't have to stop painting to swipe the brush. I can just swipe it downwards into the margins. Just looking around for more leaves to use with this color. Since this is my favorite color that I've mixed so far, I think I want to do more leaves in this color than any other color. But I'm also trying not to get too many of the same color right next to each other. Though it's okay if there are a couple, because that's also just natural and random, organic, that there might be two similar colored leaves next to each other. And then I think I'll do this corner leaf, and then let's mix another color. Just a slightly different red. Last frond of this leaf, last finger. Okay, let's add to this color. Maybe I was thinking of going a little more yellow, but then I'm seeing these brown tails, and I'll probably end up with the same. It's not an issue, but it's a thing that's happening where this leaf is so similar in color to the tails and the feet. So instead, maybe I'll actually just take this purpley brown color that I have mixed from previous work and suck up a bunch of that with my brush. Revive it with a wet brush and get all the pigment, well, as much as I can, and then just mix it in with this red over here. I don't think that's enough, so I'm going to dry the brush, and then that will, well, not completely dry, but you know, tap it on the paper towel over here, and then it should suck up more pigment from over here with this purple color. And then add it to that some more. Alright, it's still not quite enough, so let's get some more color from, so let's get a little purple. A little purple from the palette. Hadn't used any purple today yet. Then some of that purpley red. Ooh, that's beautiful. Fuchsia or something. Like a reddy, like amethyst, but red. That's nice. To make it a little bit more tree-like, I am going to add a little bit of brown. This is my darkest brown. I don't want it to be gem-like. I would rather it be tree-like. I'm so tempted to... I want to squeeze the brush out with my finger. Maybe I will. Boom! And I shall just use this towel to wipe my fingers off so that I don't accidentally transfer it to the page. Sweet! Ooh, that's a nice color too. Sorry, you can only see this little teeny tiny, like a centimeter of it. Okay. That's rinsed out well enough. So, let's see how many leaves are left. There's this one, which is just barely showing, this one, and then another one that's just barely showing. This one and this one. So there's 5 up at the top, and 1, 2 at the bottom. Well, let's give, this is one of the few like whole leaves that's barely covered up by anything. Let's give this one this nice color. It's more translucent than I expected. This is another controlled blinking moment. It's weird because I can feel it. I don't exactly do it consciously. It's only like semi-consciously. I just have like a feeling like I need to concentrate on this and not miss, so that it just feels like my blinking starts to be not random or not only dryness based. It really helps sometimes to turn the page like this, to be able to paint these little tiny corners in the way that I want. By turning the page, I don't have to turn my hand, and then that's less awkward and more control. Man, I was so busy today. I didn't have my afternoon snack. I think I'm going to do that during my 5-minute break. I was starting to feel a little hungry. Probably don't have time to eat my whole snack though, because my whole snack was cucumbers, baby carrots, and little mini peppers. But I doubt I have time to eat all of that. It takes a little while. I'll probably eat the baby carrots. They've been in the fridge the longest. very nice. I'm so glad I decided to do lots of different colors of leaves. I think it's creating a really nice overall autumny atmosphere, almost representing lots of different trees' leaf colors instead of this one tree. Some trees, so autumn's my favorite season, so I'm always looking at the trees and like, oh wow, look at that one. Some trees have a huge range of colors as they change their leaf colors for the end of the year. Other trees just sort of all go one color, and that's it. So these leaves might be representing other tree colors, even if naturally it wouldn't necessarily have this range of versions of red. Let's see. I want this on this, or do I want it on these two? It's a really nice color. I'm gonna let it be bigger. Let it be on the bigger leaf. Gotta pay attention though, so that I don't accidentally color this little teeny tiny sliver of leaf that's showing next to this one. There's a little hair. I got it. Little pet hairs get stuck on this. That's like one of the few downsides to the nice thick textured watercolor papers. The pet hairs stick to it like crazy. I had to think for a second, is this part of the leaf or is it part of the Gryphon? I think it's part of the Gryphon. Is holding the corner of the page up so that it doesn't get in the paint. There's so many little things like that I've learned to look out for for over so many years of making art. Okay, let's add a little bit something to this little drip of color that's still left, and whatever we make will be the final color for the last 4 leaves. So I guess maybe adding a little brown and a little more purple, a little more red. Maybe we can add some green too, and that'll make a different kind of brown because red plus green equals brown. Whoa. That is a blue-green color. Need more red. He's too purple now. How about this red-orange? Now it's brown. I never really know exactly what I'm doing. I just mix and mix and mix until it looks good. And I think that's fun, so I never like try to figure out what I'm doing. I just enjoy experimenting. Putting this on, a little bit more of this. I have occasionally gone so far that I'm like, I need to start over, and I'll swipe it with my paper towel. But not too often. It's not really a problem. It's something that happens occasionally. Getting there. Do a different green. It's not so much blue. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, this is good. Clean out the brush. Well, rinse out. Do a proper cleaning with a brush cleaner after the stream. Since it's watercolor, it's actually okay if you let it dry. You could totally wash it out any time, but I think it's easier. It's easier on myself, on my future self, if I clean it out now and then the brush is ready to go for next time, instead of like, man, I really wanted that brush and I have to clean it, and it like gets me out of the creative zone because I'm just doing a chore type thing. I don't always clean them though. Sometimes I'm like, I'm too tired, or I'm too in a rush, or something distracts me and it doesn't happen. It'll probably happen today though, because I definitely need to clean this up. I left this exactly where it was yesterday. Oh, why bother cleaning it up? I'm just gonna come right back to it. But tomorrow is Chibi Friday, so I will need this space for that. So I'll be putting everything away. I want to use this color on this little tiny sliver of leaf right here, but this leaf is still wet, so I'm going to move on to a different one meanwhile. I could feel it was still wet on the side of my hand when I was painting this one. That's why I tried to work away from start work on the farthest part from where my dominant hand is. So I can tell stuff like that. I have to turn the brush around sometimes in order to, even though it's a round brush technically, as you paint with it, it sort of temporarily shapes the tip a certain way. So sometimes I need to rotate the brush to get the flattened, slightly flattened area or whatever it is. So it'll go right in the teeny tiny corners. And especially this brush, I'm pretty sure I had to trim it because it had a bunch of little hairs coming out that weren't just like coming out, they were just longer than the rest, but they weren't, it wasn't like I could pull them out. So I just trimmed it so it's got a slight little angle to it. when other drawn things are breaking up something that I'm painting into smaller bits. It's both a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is it's easier to... there's less concern about the paint drying before I can paint the entire object evenly. Because if the paint dries before then it can end up with just this random line through it, which doesn't really look nice in my opinion, because it seems like a technical flaw, not a thing that's like part of what I'm trying to do. Is since I didn't do it on purpose, I don't want it. I want things to be done on purpose. On the other hand, it's kind of sucks because each brush has slightly different levels of pigment in it, especially since I mix all my colors. So they're floating there in the water, and so the object can still look kind of different, and not as if it's not as if it's just being crossed by a twig, like here with this leaf. Instead it looks like the leaf is like a Frankenstein leaf made out of multiple different parts that are mostly similar but slightly different. This is especially a problem when trying to paint the sky. Say it's like a blue sky with just some stuff crisscrossing it or whatever, and trying to make it look even. That's why some people use like resists, so that they can just paint on top, and I've used them before too in certain situations. Because then that way you can get it nice and even, and it looks like the sky, which is supposed to be behind everything, instead of like a puzzle piece alongside everything. A resist is just something that you put on the paper, and I think you could do it with canvas too, like with oil painting. I'm no expert in oil painting though, but with watercolor, you can get, I think it's called gum arabic. Ooh, I can't remember. But you put it on the paper, and then you can paint on top of it, and the paper, even if it's painted already, is protected. And then once the paint dries and the paper dries, you can use a special eraser. It's right over here. I will show you what I use. So I have these gum. So it says adhesive eraser. And then, let's see, pretty sure it's in here. Oh, it's not in here. Well, here's the eraser that I've been using. So with the resist that I use, oh, there it is. I knew it was right next to it. Maybe it's not gum arabic. This is masking fluid. So the brand of this one is Daniel Smith. So it's masking fluid, and it comes with these little tips that you can put on the end to make it teeny tiny. So if I really wanted to, I could apply it along this little branch to cover it up. And then you let that dry, of course. Once it's dry, you paint on it. And then, once the paint is dry, you take this and you can get it off of there. And it's really good to use this. You can technically use your finger, but I learned the hard way. Because some people are like, I just use my finger. And I'm like, oh, sweet. I don't have to buy a thing. But it rubs your finger raw. Like, I do not recommend it. Get one of these. And so, yeah, I have used it before, and it does work really well, but it's so time-consuming, I prefer to just do it this way if possible. Just painting around everything. Okay, so, I think there's only one leaf. Well, there's this little tiny one left, but this one is now wet, so if I were to paint, my hand would be right on there, so let's do this one. I think that, and then after the leaves are done, it'll be time to do the branches and the twigs. You can use, I'm pretty sure you can use, I think I get the term resist from printmaking. I only took the one printmaking class. It was a requirement. Well, I think I had a choice. I think I could have chosen printmaking or like art metals or something. Or was that with ceramics? Maybe printmaking was required. Printmaking makes sense to be required. But, holy crap, Aoife. What are you doing? She got up all suddenly and kicked my table. Anyway, it makes sense for printmaking to be a requirement for illustration because it's a very similar visual language. And actually, there are lots of illustrators working today who actually work with traditional printmaking techniques. So I think I might have gotten resist from, but anyway, I think the term is pretty obvious. The generic term for any of the masking fluid or something. You can use masking tape as well. Just put the tape down if you want to get some cool. I've done that as well for some school projects, just to get some cool lines across, and you paint on top and then you pull it up. It's also really fun to do that in layers. So first you put your paint down, some lighter color, mask certain things, put the paint down, get that mask off, do a different mask, different areas, and then put paint down. So there's all these different levels of paint and stuff showing through and stuff that's been painted on multiple times, areas that didn't get any paint except for the first layer or whatever. It's really, really fun. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this. This is still wet right here, so I'm just going to turn it upside down for this last leaf so I can get moving on to the branches. Although, once I'm done with this little last leaf, it'll be time for my break time and snack time. Snacks and stretching. I'm glad you think it's cool. I have so many random anecdotes about things. Printmaking I really did not want to do, actually. I was like, this is not, I'm not interested in this at all. I don't want to do this class. And then it was super fun. And I think it's thanks to I got a great professor. And that happened so many times. Class I was really dreading. And then great professor, and I'm like, how can I incorporate this into my work? Because it's so good. It was my preconceived notions versus the experience, and the experience won. Well, I guess I'll hold this up for a little look before I go on break. You can see there's still the wet portions of these couple of leaves. But we've got a nice variety of colors for these leaves. And I believe I got them all. I don't see any little outliers that were missed. And of course we're going to be adding more and more color. This is just the flat base color, so there'll be more shading. And maybe even eventually adding more color to these negative spaces behind. Just depending on what it starts looking like as we get everything more and more fleshed out. So, it is almost exactly my usual break time, so I'm going to set my little BRB sign down and mute my mic, and I will be back in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back. I didn't really get to stretch very much because every time I like to stretch my back by leaning down to touch my toes. And every time the puppies would like look at my face, and Aoife was like looking at me, like my head was upside down, and Aoife was coming over like, "What are you doing?" So I didn't get to stretch very much. The puppies are very interested in my stretching today. Okay, let's do some brown for these branches. And in the reference image, the branches are actually almost black, and I think it's probably partially because of the color of the tree itself, but also because the light is coming from outside of this space. And so what we're seeing is the shadow because the light's coming from this side. So I'm going to go ahead and do a fairly dark color for the branches and just start with a really dark color. And then we'll add even more darker paint on top. Even more, a darker color, more of a darker color of paint on top. Okay. I'm just getting a bunch of this darkest brown that I have. But like usual, I'm not just going to use this straight. I'm going to add a little blue to it, I think, to make it an even more shadowy type color. Though I'm not doing shadow yet, but I definitely want it darker than that. Let's try this color. This color blue. I need more pigment. Not enough pigment is coming up. When you have a fresh bit of watercolor straight from the tube, you don't have to do this so much. But when it's dried, sometimes you really have to work it to get the pigment to come up. Okay, that's looking a bit better as far as how much pigment there is, because there's quite a bit of branches. So, and unlike the leaves, I would like to make them basically all the same color, because the leaves are kind of translucent and you can see the light coming through, but the branches are absolutely not translucent. Maybe even a little green too, this darkest green I have. Especially because the brown is actually kind of, oh, I got a little bit on the margin there. The brown is well, it is a little bit more on the yellow side, but I think mixing it with green will give us an even darker brown. I wonder if I'm just low on this paint. It's hard to see it at this angle. All right. Okay, I think this is good. Yes. Hopefully this is enough to last for the whole painting, for all of the branches that we have here. But just in case it's not, I'm going to use this on this big main branch first. I'm just rinsing this out. Yeah, I was just thinking that. I'm like, it's getting close to time. I can still see the little tendrils of paint coming out when I'm rinsing my brush, so it's not quite It's not quite there yet, but yeah, it's getting close. Close to time to change it. Okay. I'm going to turn this and work from up to down. Ah, good, and it looks like it will be a much different brown to the brown that is on the Gryphons, so that it won't get confused about what part is Gryphon and what part is tree. This little, where different parts meet, creates these little tiny pockets that are actually kind of hard to get the paint into. There. And this has so many pigments mixed together that I've got to sort of remix it. Whew. It's intense painting around the claws. It's full of those tiny pockets. Teeny tiny triangle shapes. And I really want to paint precisely here so that the claws look like claws instead of rounded shapes. Just working my way down. This is kind of a nice meditative bit of painting. Since it's this main branch, there's not too much in its way. So just paint down the branch. Guess it'll get a little bit tricky right here because I want to keep it wet as I'm painting down, but it branches off right here. So I'm going to do my best to paint a little bit of each one, alternating back and forth, so that I don't get one of those random lines that I was talking about earlier, caused by the paint drying before I could finish painting. Getting around these claws is the top priority, though. Okay, so now let's paint a little bit down this branch. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be too bad because there's nothing branching off of this branch here. So. It's funny because it's like that's why it's called branching off, because it's like a branch. But this is a branch. So the branch is branching. The branch is doing what it does best. There. Now I just have to be careful because this is right where my hand wants to go. So as I paint over here, I'm going to hold the brush out a little farther. So my hand is now on the margin of the page. I don't know if my snack helped or made it worse. Still feel hungry. Or maybe it would be the same no matter what. I was able to eat like 4 carrots. 4 baby carrots. I have 2 more, but my 5-minute break was over, so they're just waiting for when I'm done, and then I'll eat them while the video is uploading. The recording of this stream. Okay, there's plenty of paint left. Of course, the first branches I will prioritize are the ones coming out in this area. Branching off of the main branch. It's a really nice break, actually, to paint these shapes. The leaves required much more precision, except for around the claws there for the Gryphons. And all along I've been trying to paint onto these transferred graphite lines instead of just next to them. So I think it looks much better if they're not sort of, how can I say this? The graphite can look like it's standing out and not a part of the picture if it doesn't get some paint on it. So painting over the graphite, not just next to it. can wave. I can wave. Hello, how are you? Yay! I thought maybe you went to bed early. How are you? Ooh, that's a little bit too much paint on here. Suck some of it off with this brush. Put it on the towel. Yay! The main branch. Oh wait, nope. This is also coming off of this one. Haha. I had to hold it the proper way up to notice that. Oh, excellent! Yay! Always glad to hear it. I am well. Thank you for asking. I do wish it was snowing again today, though. Though we've got enough snow that we're actually having a hard time getting in and out. The snow is so thick on the roads that our neighborhood doesn't get plowed. So I guess technically it's alright that there's not more snow, but I love the snow. It is still very beautiful looking out my window. So everything's still covered in snow and the skies are still gray. Well, it's not even gray, it's white. The skies are white. Bright, brilliant, shining. Yeah, the weather's been on my mind a lot because it's so... Apparently we're getting close to being in a top 10 for amount of snow in January. Which doesn't surprise me at all because this is definitely not normal. Okay. I'm just looking. So I think this is the next one that's coming off. Oh, here's a little small one that's reaching this leaf. I think I will have enough of this color that I mixed for all of the branches, but just in case, I'm working in a way that hopefully will make it so branches that are connected but divided by things that are hanging in front of them will still obviously will still look like they're part of the same branch because the color is the same. Because if I have to mix another brown for the branches, it definitely won't be the same as this. I put it like 5 different applications or something of different colors. Trying to remember to hold this so that everybody can see because I keep getting lower and lower. It's been so long since I've worked on a piece like this live. I still have the habits from the last couple of years of, you know, not thinking about that at all. Just work wherever I happen to end up on my desk, because it's just where I'm working. But now I would like everyone to be able to see how it's going. Take a little bit of paint off of there so that it won't be too much. I don't want it to bleed into this other branch that's already dry. So I do want to have the lines between the dry and this wet one so that this will definitely look like it's behind. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. I think I got quite a bit done since last time. Since the end of yesterday's stream, for sure. This is the part actually where I feel the least confident applying the base colors. And I'm like, ugh, this is just looks kind of hodgepodge, and I don't know what I was thinking doing this or whatever. But it always works out by the end. So I'm like, I'm not actually worried. Those thoughts just still come into my mind when I look at it. I'm like, what? This is not how I want it to look. But of course, because it's not done yet. So don't worry, me. It's going to work out. Just got to keep working on it. Let's see. I think I'll work this way next. Because there's two more twigs branching off of this one. I'll do this side first. Is really nice. This the way I need to move my brush to paint these branches and twigs is just the natural way of the hand to move, so it feels so much easier than the leaves. I'm going to hold my brush really far away again because this twig that I just painted is definitely not dry yet. But I want to paint this one ASAP so that it has a smooth transition coming up off of this branch here. It's like there's some areas where I actually do want that sort of line that forms when wet paint meets dry paint. And then there's other areas where I definitely don't want it, so I'm just trying to make use of that. So I think it's great to have that in areas where things are overlapping. I feel like it helps give a sense of the fact that they're overlapping. Because otherwise, the painting is literally two-dimensional. So without those little sort of visual, how can I say that? It's like a kind of visual language or something. It's just a little harder to imagine it being a real scene. Not that I'm going for like super hyper realistic or anything, but you know what I mean. I want it to be believable, even if it's not photorealistic. It's cool. There seems to be, and this often happens because I mix my paints so thoroughly, I guess. There's also natural variations happening even though this is the same mixed color. Which is nice because there will be natural variations in a tree anyway, in real life. The bark would be lighter or darker here or there. It's getting kind of dry though. I mixed paint. I'm trying to add a little bit more water. These twigs are very tiny, very tiny. Excellent. I think that is all the branches coming, all the twigs and things coming off of this main branch. Finally, I've got all those done. So actually, I'll take this chance to really add a lot more water, because I am going to try to use the same color for all of the branches in the scene. Okay. So I'm going to move up to the top area so that this part can just get completely dry, and then I can paint this little branch that's coming in front so that it doesn't look like it's weirdly part of this little tangle of fingers, tree fingers. I'm painting the items that are in front first. So it's just easier for me to work from closer to the viewer to farther away. And I don't think it's just from a practical, like, so that it dries first kind of way, though I think that is part of it. It's also just because I can think better. I can more easily process which thing to tackle next, which thing to focus on. Oops, I keep flicking paint. Okay, this branch is in front of these other little ones, so I'm going to move over to these before doing this one. And in fact, I'll probably end up doing this too, because it might not dry fast enough, because these are pretty small. And I'm glad I started with a fairly dark color. Because watercolor is always dries lighter than it looks. My theory is that it's the same reason why when you get paper wet just with water, it looks gray, even though the paper is white. So I think the water itself is making the color look darker. And so this looked like a pretty dark brown, but now that it's actually applied, it's not very dark at all. Okay, move down to this. Oh. Your foot just yawned and made a squeaky sound. Down to this other relatively big branch in the corner. It's so nice. It really does seem like I'll be able to use this brush for pretty much everything. I have so many watercolor brushes, well, just paint brushes in general, and at first I was actively buying them because they were like, oh, this is for this thing and this is for this thing, but as my personal watercolor technique developed, I realized that I don't really care that much about doing the different techniques because I can get the look that I want with just a single brush as long as I don't need a different size. And even when I need a different size, I usually just want the round. So if I just have like at most usually 3 sizes of round brushes, that's all I need. I don't need any specialty brushes. And less is more if I can get it all done with a single brush. That's time not spent switching brushes, and it's easier on my brain not having that extra thing to think about. I do like those flat brushes though. That big one I was using yesterday to do the wash for washes. Definitely prefer flat brush for that big one. Yay, I think that's all the branches. Hooray! All the branches done. Well, I guess the next flat color I need to add is the black for the wings, the backs, the eyes, the beaks, and the front feet. Take a sip of water real quick though. And I think that's the last of the base color that I need. Of course, I will not start with black. I will start with a darker gray color. And I'll probably add some brown into it because maybe it's might be different for feathers versus fur, but I find that a lot of black fur and such, if you look at it in bright sunlight, like I'm thinking of my black cat Kiba, my late black cat Kiba. He was brown in the sunlight. It was just very dark brown. So I'm going to add some brown to this black. But I definitely need some more pigment. Pigment to water ratio is what I'm looking at. Because you need the water to suck up the pigment, but since these are dry little wells of color here, they need a little working to get the pigment to come up. Ooh, only 19 minutes left. Ooh, the black paint is swirling. Oh, it looks even dirtier in the video. It's not so bad in real life. This, you can't even see the cool swirling happening. The black interacting with the red within the water. Just, it looks like it looks completely black in the camera. I only just realized that. That's funny. It's not nearly so bad in real life. Okay, a little more brown. And a little more black. I mixed in some of that gray that was already there, but now I want more brown. So I've got to clean the brush out. Yay, I'm glad. Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I enjoy it, actually. I enjoy the process of experimenting with adding a little bit of this and a little bit of that, see what the color is, and do I like it? What do I want to add to change it? I do have an idea of what will happen if I add this or that color, and that's how I'm able to be like, okay, let's add some of this, let's add some of this. Or at least I have an idea of what might happen, I guess. An idea of what might happen and a hope. Ooh, this is, yeah, here we go. Finally, I have arrived at the color that I want. So I think just like this brown here, this black brown that I have just mixed will probably end up looking a lot lighter once it's applied. Oh, the painting is so far off. Sorry about that. Maybe next time I'll put my palette over here and I'll put the water over a little farther. And then that way this can move up and down more freely. I'm not going to move it right now, though. There's only 15 minutes left, so. All right, that's probably good enough. Oh, my little brush. Whoop! I accidentally caught my finger on here and flipped the page around a little bit. Okay. So now I really need to look at my reference images. These Inaga birds actually have some gray feathers. These top ones that are closest to the body are, it's like white and then it gets mixed in. So there's a white one and then there's a black one and a white one and then they're all black at the bottom part, which is the outside more part. Yeah, and this one that I'm looking at for the reference for this one, which is flying, obviously, the feathers actually just all look gray, probably because the light is shining through them. So for this, I think I'll use a... a more watered down application of this color. So it should definitely have some white feathers here. I mean, they're probably different from bird to bird, but the only examples I have of the feathers are this one and this one as far as the reference images go. So I'm trying to combine what I'm seeing here and what I'm seeing here. So yeah, I think maybe I'll just start painting from the outside and then use water and paint it lighter and lighter toward the inside. Okay, so start adding water to thin the color out and spread it. And it will also dry lighter. I really like this Gryphon. This Gryphon right here, it looks like it's looking under the wing. I really hope it has the effect that I thought it might. Once this is printed on a greeting card and the fold is like right here, and then it helps the viewer think to look on the back. Like, why is there a little head poking out? And then turn the card over and like, oh, there's a whole more of the scene. It's all one big scene. Because I don't think very many greeting cards are done that way. I've never really seen them. But I think it's a really nice way to do illustrated greeting cards. Like art greeting cards, not just a typical... Of course, there's beautiful illustrated greeting cards, like especially... I just sent one the other day, a Thomas Kincaid card. But most art greeting cards just take the painting or whatever it is and slap it on the front. My idea is to make it like a little art print, and it's like a... So it's designed so it looks like a whole... Looks like this could be all it is. But then you get the reward of when you like think to like, oh, open it like this in an unusual way you wouldn't normally open it. Oh, bye, Wolf! Thank you for joining me! I love seeing that little ranger sliding out. Thank you for joining me. I hope you can join again soon. Take care in the weather. So let's see. I'm thinking that this is going to be dark. So I'll do these feathers the same way as this one over here. Thinking the outermost, when the wings are outstretched, the outermost ones, which are the bottom ones here, will be the darkest. And I guess what's cool about all of this is that these are griffins, not actual birds, so ultimately whatever decision I make is how they are. Oh, 10-minute warning. 10 minutes. 10 minutes of illustration left. I might not even get to these little griffins. I don't know if you heard that sneeze just now, but that was my cat Kiki. She has some sort of chronic nasal issue. She sneezes all the time. I don't know, it might have been... She's in the hallway outside my room. I don't know, the door maybe might have blocked the sound from the mic. Oh, I'm so hungry. I can't wait to finish eating my 2 little baby carrots. They're sitting in the bowl next to me, waiting. What I'm trying to do is work a little bit lighter with each feather so that the feathers closest to the shoulders are the lightest. And I purposefully stopped working on this wing because I want these feathers that are in front to have that sharp, dry line to help them stand out. Show that three-dimensionality. Oh, Exie, were you able to do any movie posters yet? Remember, you said you were going to do some movie posters yesterday. Well, I mean, you said yesterday. I don't mean that you said that you would do them yesterday. If that makes sense. Ah, yes, I think I got that gradient. Gradient nice on here. Yes. How are we on time? 7 minutes? I'll just keep working on this Gryphon. So yeah, this is dry enough. Let's see, and these little cover feathers, I don't know the official name, these are definitely lighter colored. So I'm going to avoid painting those for now. Oh, every third day, okay. Oh, cool, yeah, because of the, when you're looking at your page, that's cool. No, I haven't done it yet. Yeah, that's a cool idea. It's nice that even though this water right here looks totally filthy, it's actually not so dirty that it is staining my coloring. When I dip my brush in to get a little bit more water, I'm not getting like red, or at the very least it's so little that I'm not noticing it. So that is quite nice, because at this point I do not want to take the time to go change the water. Oh, I see. Oh, okay, okay. None since yesterday. Gotcha. I'm thinking I'm gonna watch The Forbidden Kingdom on Friday. Friday's my movie night. And we have been watching live action One Piece with my sister. But she's not going to be coming. She's going to be coming over the next day instead. So I think I might watch The Forbidden Kingdom. Because now that I thought about it, I'm like, oh man, I haven't watched it yet this year. I don't watch it every year, but I definitely watch it every few years. I just get a hankering. I'm like, oh man, I really want to watch that movie. It's so good. I love adventure stories. Like, fantasy adventure stories are my fave. How are we on time? 4 minutes? Well, let's see. So there'll definitely be some black coming down on the back right here. So I will add some color there for that. Turn it this way so that I don't touch the wet part with my hand. Yeah, in fact, I think this whole little area, the back in between the wings, will be not like completely black. I'm actually going to do leave a little spots unpainted. Because it does seem like there might be a little white feather poking through here and there. And I was also going to have the black come all the way down. Because for the birds, it actually goes down into their tail. So I'm going to bring it down into the... I can't remember the English word. Nezumi. Shrew. It's something Nezumi. Nezumi means rat or mouse. And then it's like something Nezumi means shrew in Japanese. I was like, oh, that's so easy. Something Nezumi. It's like Adi Nezumi or something. Anyway, bringing this down into the Nezumi part. The shrew part. Lazy Nezumi. Yeah. Yeah. That's actually open right now on my computer because I'm using Photoshop to open my reference image collage. It's funny. Nice. Nice one. I'm looking at it. I think I want to actually make it a little more tapered here. Oh, but oh no, let's do it real quick. We only have seconds left. But I really do want to add a little bit more so that it's not like just this big stripe. Oh, my stomach just did a big growl. I know, stomach. You didn't get all of your yummy snacks today. Stomach says, where's my snacks? Where's my cucumber? Where's my bell peppers? Oh, that's much better. That's much better. Okay. Aha! Right on time. Boom. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm so glad you could make it. Here's a little quick look at the progress we made today. We got all the leaves done, all the branches done, and started adding the black colored areas to the Gryphons. Didn't work on these little guys, only this one. Yeah, much happier with this. Instead of one line, make it more gradual. Ooh, it's getting exciting. We're going to put this aside until next week because tomorrow is Chibi Friday. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the compliment. Yeah, I'm going to pack it all away safely so that it doesn't get ruined by anything until next week. But I'll be back tomorrow for Chibi Friday. I had to think about what I want to do. I have several options, including making a new custom emote that's probably top of my list. But I'll think about it and decide by tomorrow. So hopefully I'll see you then. Oh, yay! Yay! And until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching.